Tonight, bilingual theatre collaboration, Cyclone Pam and social media, and the Bay of Plenty wedding affair. Kia ora and good evening. Welcome to Central News on TV Central for Wednesday, the 22nd of April. I'm Amanda Harper. In today's news, a bilingual theatre collaboration between the University of Waikato and Equal Voices Arts Company will be signing off next month for New Zealand Sign Language Week. The short piece will include both deaf and hearing actors using sign language and spoken English. It's been created and developed in Hamilton. Directed by University of Waikato's Dr. Laura Hoey, At the End of My Hands will be performed in the Gallagher Academy of Performing Arts on May the 1st and May the 2nd. Deaf actors have been recruited through workshops over the past few months, and the company has come together bringing rich experiences from the deaf community in the Waikato region. Dr. Hoey says the deaf actors are working collaboratively with two hearing performers to create an integrated ensemble and a piece which is accessible for both deaf and hearing audiences. There will be an interpreted Q&A session after the performance on May the 1st. Entry is by donation. As director and facilitator of the project, Dr. Hoey brings 8 years' experience working in deaf-led theatre in the UK and is enjoying the opportunity to engage with the unique nature of deaf culture here in New Zealand. People 65 years and over have the choice of getting their free flu vaccination at one of 23 pharmacies in the Waikato District Health Board region. Dr. Damien Tomic, Waikato DHB Clinical Director for Primary Care, says it is a New Zealand first which will reduce the burden on general practice at this busy time of the year. He says we know from what happened in the Northern Hemisphere that more elderly people ended up in hospital with pneumonia. So here in New Zealand, we wanted to ensure we included protection against the strains that were prevalent there. The delay to the start of the 2015 influenza season, it usually starts in March, was because two new strains needed to be added to the vaccine to provide greater protection from flu. Each year, around 400 New Zealanders die directly or indirectly from the influenza. The first of two outdoor artworks is beginning to take shape near the Domain Road interchange alongside the Tauranga Eastern Link. The 130-metre long Palisade Park sculpture is one of two artworks entitled Bound Around being installed ahead of the road's official opening later this year. An 8-metre high spinifex will be installed near the Tara Road roundabout next month. Created by renowned New Zealand artist Regan Gentry, Bound Around is funded by the New Zealand Transport Agency through the TEL project and the Bay of Plenty Regional Council, with support from Tauranga City Council. Together, the public artworks are set to become some of the largest on display in New Zealand. The pa is made from roadside safety guardrails and wood repurposed from Tauranga's Coronation Pier, while the spinifex is made from streetlights. And now for our region's weather. Hamilton expect fine spells with a few afternoon showers and easterlies. High of 21 and low of 9. Rest of the Waikato will be the same. Paeroa, your high is 20, a low of 11. Matamata 18 and 11 low. Te Awamutu a 21 high and 9 low. Tokoroa 21 high and overnight low of 9 as well. And in the Bay of Plenty, Tauranga expect fine spells with a few afternoon showers, easterlies as well. High of 21 and low of 13. Te Puke, your high is 19 and overnight low of 12. And for the marine forecast, on the west coast Raglan, a variable of 10 knots, developing Thursday evening to an easterly 15 knots. High tide is at 1:28 p.m. And in the Bay of Plenty, an easterly 15 knots, high tide is at 11:08 p.m. Coming up in the show, it's Cyclone Pam and social media. Welcome back to Central News. Cyclone Pam came and wreaked havoc on the Bay of Plenty earlier this year, and social media played a huge part in the coverage of the natural event. Steve Campbell from the Bay of Plenty Regional Council tells reporter Rachel Sutton how.
Well, during the event, we regularly updated our Facebook, Twitter and our webpage. Those are just three means of communicating with the public, and so they were used quite extensively during the event.
And what submissions from the public via social media did you see?
Well, there was I guess several. different types of communication we received from the public. So there was comments that that people made, the members of the Facebook community made, and others were able to answer those questions. So in those cases, we weren't constantly feeding replies to those questions. Members of the community were also being involved in information. There's also other means of communication. We had comments like specifically around a trampoline, where a lady said, "What do I do with my trampoline?" And we were able to reply and say, "Just turn it upside down so that the wind won't pick it up and blow it away."
So for social media, for your Facebook page, how was that used from the public during Cyclone Pam?
Well, it's a fantastic tool in our tool belt with gaining live information from a wide geographical area that's affected by an event, and we're able to see in real time what's going on. Members of the public continually feed in photographs and video streams about local hazards and local issues, such as what happened recently in Pam, where there was driftwood up on the road. The driftwood was actually up pretty close to houses, so we were able to deploy the local authorities to go and assess the situation to see whether they needed to evacuate those houses during the next high tide.
Why do you feel this type of interaction is beneficial for you and the public?
Like I said, I guess it's a specific demographic that use particular social media, and again, it's one mechanism of communication with that demographic, but it's quite useful for us for intelligence. There was another incident where we had a report that there was a boat floating in Waihau Bay down on the East Cape, and one of the active Facebook feeders was able to offer to go down to Waihau Bay to see whether that was in fact true, and within 5 or 10 minutes he'd replied, he'd been down there, had a look, and established that there wasn't a boat down in the bay. So it was fantastic to be able to get that information. Like if we'd deployed somebody down there to do that, it probably would have taken an hour to an hour and a half to get that information back.
And did you learn anything from the social media interaction during Cyclone Pam?
Okay, I guess there's two answers to that. One, of us communicating to the public, there's the old listen to your radio, which is still as relevant today as what it was sort of 10 years ago now that we've got social media. Social media is quite reliant on telecommunications and internet, and when that goes down, there needs to be other mechanisms that we can communicate, and television, radio, door knocking, letterbox drops are all methods that we still use.
For natural disasters, what would you recommend is the best method of contact between members of the public?
I guess we're in the civil defence. We rely quite a lot on community actually talking to themselves. So if you know somebody that's in your community that's particularly in need of assistance, the community spirit comes in, and it's you need to sort of rally together and help each other, and so we try and generate that community preparedness as well.
And where can we go to visit that Facebook page?
We'll just go onto the Civil Defence, the Bay of Plenty Civil Defence website, and there's a link there. You can easily find that through a Google search, and push like on it. It was interesting in Cyclone Pam, we were able to reach 93,000 people, and some of those were within our Bay of Plenty region, but there was also other people, family members who were concerned with relatives that were in our area from outside area and even overseas, that were monitoring the situation as the cyclone went through. And we had 200% increase in our likes on our Facebook page during the event, which was quite significant.
Thank you, Rachel. In our next story, Hacienda Surrey Stud is a Tauranga alpaca farm. Rachel talks to them about what's involved with running an alpaca stud farm, their success and the services they provide.
We moved to New Zealand from a very small flat in London, and we ended up living on a 2-acre lifestyle block just outside of Thames, and very quickly realised that something needed to eat the grass. We'd just been to the Easter show up in Auckland and we'd seen alpacas there, so we thought maybe as a hobby we'd get a few, but it kind of took a hold and now we've got over 40. So, yeah.
So what exactly is involved with running an alpaca farm?
It's like any other livestock business, really. So you've got the pasture management, the fencing, you've obviously got to feed out, shearing once a year. It's probably a little bit easier than with some animals because they're quite easy to handle. I mean, you can see if I had a bucket of food here, they'd all just come over, they'll follow me wherever I go.
So what exactly do you specialise in?
There's 2 different types of alpaca. One's called the Wakaya and one's called the Suri. And we do the Suri alpaca. And as you can probably see from the herd as well, we focus on coloureds, browns in particular. The 2 breeds essentially the same animal, they've just got different types of fibre. And we've used, right from word go, we've used the best males that we can over our herd. So we're trying to set up basically a boutique alpaca stud, but with top genetics.
Now, what support do you get from the Alpaca Association of New Zealand?
Collegiality is probably number one. There's local cluster groups, so you know all the other breeders, so you've got other people to talk to. They're a relatively new animal to New Zealand, so we're all kind of learning together, and that includes the vets as well, and the Alpaca Association brings the vets on board. We go to conferences. They used to be yearly, they're biannual now. They run workshops. So when we first got into breeding, we went to workshops such as how to deliver an alpaca. And so you were there, and believe it or not, it was our baby alpaca that had been stillborn that was frozen, and you were manipulating it to pull it out of a pretend womb, so all that kind of stuff. They also have a magazine a few times a year, and they run all the shows because they have alpaca shows at AMP events and things like that, so they run all those shows as well.
Now, what is your favourite part of your job? I mean, running and owning an alpaca farm.
I suppose the babies. I love, the birthing, particularly the adrenaline rush if you have to get involved and you have to deliver a baby. That's quite a major. I love seeing them in the paddocks, bombing around, playing with each other. I think for me, and particularly for my husband, I think he really enjoys the show side of things. So you get that acknowledgement that your breeding program is heading in the right direction. We just picked up a few firsts at the National, and we did really well in the Rotorua AMP show. And it's just that reaffirmation. It's quite a good reward.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the breeding program and how that program actually works?
So we started off with a couple of females. We probably took the longest out of everybody in New Zealand to actually have a female cria, which is the name for the baby alpaca. So we ended up buying some more foundation females just to increase our chances of getting a female. We've joined a syndicate. We've been a syndicate for a long time of owners who own some of the top males in the country. So we use those. They're not on our farm. We bring those over in a transit van, unload them. The females are waiting. Female alpacas will spit if they're pregnant to tell the male just to go away. If they're in the mood and not pregnant, they'll sit. And so you can have a situation where you'll bring a male stud in and 4 females will just line up on the floor right next to each other, and he just gets on one for 10 minutes, then onto the next one, and job done, 4 females. My husband's quite envious of their performance. And yeah, so we've just been doing that for years, and you just look at the fleece in particular. The conformation's pretty good for all of our alpacas, so we concentrate on the fleece and just have a look at what qualities we think are missing from the fleece, and then we'll use a male that is going to bring that feature to the future cria. So that's it basically.
Stay with us. After the break, we meet 2 lovely ladies who have set up a completely new concept. Welcome back to Central News. Setting up a new business is a feat in itself, especially when you are young, and trying out a completely new concept is even more challenging. We chat to 2 local Tauranga girls who have done just that by launching a boutique rainwear brand.
Yeah, well, we've had quite a few challenges. I think the main one is that we're a small business. It's really easy as a big business because there's big manufacturers, you can do big runs in China and all of that set up for it. But being a small business, we really had to struggle to find our fabric, find our manufacturers and everything, and trying to keep it New Zealand made. We did have a lot of setbacks, but we just persevered and got there in the end.
So can you tell us about the latest collection, Candice?
So our latest collection is called the Matryoshka collection. Matryoshka is Russian for Russian dolls. And the principle explores how everything works in layers and everything's really vibrant. So that's what we've thought works perfectly with our jackets. It's the perfect layering piece, really vibrant colours.
How would you describe your brand to people that are just finding out about you and hearing your name? How would you describe it?
I think the main way we're describing it is that we're a fresh and fun approach to rainwear. We don't want to be serious. We always want to be up with the latest trends and just have a bit of a quirk to it, whether it's the cape or just an interesting lining, like we've got geometric linings in that, and just always keep it quite lively and fun.
So Candice, where were your designs inspired from?
I did a lot of research, looked at all of the up-and-coming trends and also what would work really well in a raincoat. So things like when you sit down, you don't want to get a wet behind. So I've made the back of them all dipped so that when you sit down, that works out really well. Made the hoods really big as well so that you can still wear your hair up. And you know, your makeup won't come off in the rain, your hairstyle won't get ruined.
What makes your rainwear stand out from other rainwear that's available in New Zealand at the moment?
I think one of the main things is we are New Zealand made. A lot of the rainwear out there comes from China. We've got all seam sealed, so it's 100% waterproof. The water can't get through the seams. And then just the different fabrics, we've taken fashion styles and put them to rainwear, which there's not too much of that out there, and yeah, the lining.
Who would you say would be the main target market for your jackets?
Probably quite similar to us and yourself. At the moment we're looking at females 25 to 40 who, you know, they're wanting to go to the cafe but not ruin their outfit, that kind of stuff. Or I don't know, they might have a kid's sport game and don't want to don their husband's big coat. And I guess from there, the options are endless. We can always look at other lines ongoing, but at this stage, that's our target.
Now, Candice, being that you're kind of in charge of that creative side of it, where do you source your fabrics from?
Our fabrics are sourced from all around the world. It took us quite a while to find them because you can't really get that many waterproof, breathable fabrics.
Now, for the process of designing your pieces, how long does this generally take you from the start of the process to that finished piece?
It takes about a few months at least, yeah.
So what advice would you have for anyone wanting to get a career in the fashion industry?
I guess, well, I've worked in it for the last 5 years, and I just started out, I did a marketing degree, and then I think just relationships through all the different companies I worked for. I just built strong relationships with the editors, with the people in it, and then that's helped us a lot in starting our business, is already having those good relationships. And the industry in New Zealand is so small, everyone knows everyone, so you've got to always make sure that you really are friends with everyone, even if they are your competitors.
And do you have any advice there, Candice?
Just perseverance, really. We've hit a lot of hurdles, and just the key is just to keep persevering. If it's something that you really love doing and something that you really believe in, it's really important just to keep going with it.
For more information on their current collection, you can check out their online store. The Bay of Plenty Wedding Affair is an annual boutique wedding expo, which is now in its 6th year running. Rachel Sutton talks to Maurice Bevan from A Wedding Affair about the success of the show and the tools and secrets behind their success.
Yeah, so We've probably got a really large point of difference compared to those larger commercialised kind of shows. Being boutique, much more relaxed environment, and obviously having it at Trinity Wharf really helps to create that feel. We also have the largest bridal fashion show in Tauranga, which is obviously a big pull. And having the charity auction at the end is a real, helps really add to that. The other things too, I think we're constantly looking to improve as the years go on and change, if we need to change anything, add to, just to really evolve and constantly bring a really show-stopping show, basically.
And who is the team behind the show?
Yeah, so this has been organised. There's three main people that actually organise this, and there's Karina Snow, Cassie Snow, and Ray Drake. So Ray's from Bridal Solutions in Tauranga, and Karina and Cassie are in Papamoa. So they're basically Ray's a bridal house, and Karina's the designer and creates all her own designs, and Cassie works alongside with her with the organisation.
Are there any challenges that you face within your role? There's not really, I mean, with everything there are challenges, with all events there are challenges, and that's what makes it so rewarding at the end when it all pulls together. It's quite exciting. Probably the largest challenge for me, or the greatest challenge for me, would be juggling, doing this alongside a full-time job, and I know that that's probably, I can speak for the others as well, so we're all sort of trying to bring this together as well as do our full-time work. So time management probably, yeah. How do you find that it is getting exhibitors on board to exhibit in the show?
So obviously this is the 6th year running, so we do have a large database already. But we don't just stick to that, we're constantly looking, and we always have exhibitors actually approaching us, so people hear about it through our advertising and marketing campaign, and will search us out. And of course that's part of my job, is going out there and meeting and greeting and doing the face-to-faces and the follow-up emails and phone conversations and things. So it's...
For your marketing and advertising, what exactly do you do for the show?
So we've got a really strong marketing campaign. We do a lot of online stuff, but alongside of that we do have road signage, we're on Event Finder.
For more information on the wedding affair or to contact the team, you can find them on Facebook under Tauranga Wedding Affair Expo. Thank you for watching Central News tonight. We really do appreciate all the support we receive for regional television. We strive to bring original content to your screens every day from the Waikato and the Bay of Plenty. Everything we do is posted on demand on our website, tvcentral.co.nz, and also through our Facebook page, search centralnews.tv. If you think you might have a story for us, email news@tvcentral.co.nz. We would always love to hear your feedback. I will be back on screens tomorrow night with more stories from the Waikato and the Bay of Plenty. My name is Amanda Harper, and this is Central News on TV Central. Have a good night. Por Marie.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.